My husband and I have been coming here about 7 years.
Let's see, probably over 15 years now.
For 21 years.
I've been attending Highlands for 13 years.
I'll say about 2 years.
Probably since I was 3.
About 7, 8 months.
About 6 months.
18 years.
We actually moved here from Florida end of July, so we've been attending physically since August, but we were attending online for like a year and a half before that.
What do I love about Highlands? I love that Highlands is not afraid to roll its sleeves up and be in the community and really not only tell about the gospel, but really show it.
I love the community that we built here and the people that are friends that feel more like family than friends, because we definitely feel like a lot of people at Highlands are just as close to us as our family members.
Feels very much like a family, and I'm a long way from home, so the second I walked in the doors, it really made me feel like I was part of a family, and you're always welcome, and it's a great feeling.
I love that it feels like a family. I love that I'm constantly encouraged by other people in the same season of life, or they've walked a little bit further along than us, and they just have so much biblical wisdom to give us as we parent and we do life and just try to become more like Jesus.
Through missions, I've attended mission trips with this church to Africa, Nicaragua, Haiti. But then just the Global Glory of God, or the G3 conference they have, it's just so amazing that our church can partner with pastors and all over the world, and that alone is just, it's world changing, you know?
Not too long ago, we had someone come to the church in desperate need of prayer, and we were the only church, she said, anywhere near here that had our doors open on I think it was a Friday night. And the pastor here, James, reached out to me, said, hey, someone here needs prayer. And I came running right after work, and we all gathered around and prayed for her. And she came to church the next Sunday, and now she's a part of the church. And I think that was a great moment to see God change someone's life.
Last week, we're going through some different challenges at home with just parenting one of our children, and God used someone in this church to speak into my life, and I saw immense change in him and myself this week, which was really beautiful and very special.
There's so many. One moment was when my wife-to-be was baptized, and just seeing that happen and just seeing God move in her life, and how she grew close to God in those moments really made me even grow closer to God as our relationship grew and stuff. And that was just a really awesome experience, seeing her get baptized for the first time with Highlands a couple years before we got married.
In 2022, actually, I had a brain tumor, and Highlands surrounded me like nothing I've ever experienced before in a family, and especially a church family. And they prayed diligently day after day after day, and had it removed, and all went well, but the support continued even after the fact. And God just humbled me through that whole process, that no matter how helpless I might feel in life, maybe even hopeless at times, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And He just moved through Highlands and showed me that He's got me through my family here at Highlands. Huge, huge change in my life.
I love that, because it's just a building, man. I love that I have people here that I can rely on. If I need anything, I can holler at somebody, and somebody will answer. It's a community for our family.
Happy birthday, Highlands Fellowship. We love you. One of life's greatest blessings was being chosen by Jesus to be your founding pastor, to lead you and love and care for you for 18 years, and the team that Christ brought together. Even now, constantly praying for all of you. You know, one of the questions that I was asked is, take us back to 1994. What was a moment that you knew God was calling you to plant a church in Abingdon? You know, the word says that unless the Lord builds a house, those that labor, labor in vain. Highlands was Jesus's idea. How did He reveal His will? You know, I was driving back home from my hometown in Abingdon, Virginia one day, just a normal day, and my wife and girls were in the car, and I said to my wife, probably for the 100th time, I said, you know, somebody should start a church in Abingdon, and it needs to be new and different kind of church. And my wife, for the first time, looked at me and she said, why don't we do it? Our biggest challenge was, would we believe God? I recently heard Dave Ramsey talk about, you know what, if you put the bean counters and the lawyers leading your organization, mark it down. That's the day you are done. Your org is going to die. You know, we didn't have anything but a word from the Lord. Literally, people said, you're crazy. What are you doing? We had no members, no building, no place to live, no income. 2 baby girls, Ashlyn and Amy. I'd never planted a church before. Like, this is a prescription for failure. But the Lord kept encouraging us through others. He kept showing up and answering our prayers as we asked Him to confirm. The only way to describe it is one God story after another. We were pumped. God had tested us in so many times, in so many ways, and yet at every test, He would come through. He would answer our prayers, and we knew He was among us. And the question was always, would we trust Him? Would we follow Him and what He wanted us to do? It was uncomfortable, but it was exciting. And by the time Easter Sunday came in 1994, there were 70 of us preparing to launch Highlands Fellowship, and we were having so much fun. We hand-addressed 8,000 personal invitations to the community. It turned into a party. Everybody was assigned a role. And on that Easter Sunday, 1995, 156 people came to the first official service. Those 70 people, we spaced ourselves out on the sidewalk, lining the driveway into the front doors of the Coombs Recreation Center, greeting and loving and sharing. We did coffee and juice and donuts. We didn't want anybody to ever come and hungry or walk away hungry. 5 years later, on our last Sunday at the high school, we were average 700 people in that auditorium. People would say, a church can't grow in an auditorium. And I just laugh, you know, when I would hear that, you know, and honestly tell God anything He can't do, right? Our first Sunday in our new facility, Easter 2000, many of you were there. We had 1,200 people in attendance. We never looked back. You know, many of us have been called out from Highlands. We still call Highlands home, but like us in California, we're out here helping plant churches. In the last 10 years, Sin Network and the team I work with, there's been over 600 churches planted in California. People think California's fallen into the ocean. Well, listen, there's a group of people, and one of them's a Hollander, out here planting churches, reaching people with the gospel. This is the question I was asked. If you could give one piece of encouragement to the people of Highlands, what would it be? Follow Jesus. Highlands is His church. He's the head. As Mary told the people at the wedding in Cana, do whatever He tells you to do.
I come here, it's a multi-site, and it's a large church, and I just realized fairly quickly I was in over my head, and I needed help. And so, you know, God in His graciousness was able to put me around some people who had led organizations and businesses. I was able to form some friendships with some community people. I began to just go into the communities and meet with, town council and mayors and board of supervisors and first responders and people of influence. And I tried to ask them the same question: what keeps our communities from being all that God wants it to be? One of the early ones was poverty and food insecurity, which I felt like we had a food pantry, and that was an answer, to help in that particular way. Another thing that we were trying to help with was the addiction rate that we found was very high in all of our locations. Some form or fashion, almost all of us have a family member with addiction, so addiction was on that list. But one of the ones that sort of surprised me was the need for foster care and adoptive families. And it made sense to me once I began to think about it, because often when there's food insecurity and poverty and addiction, then children are often the ones who have needs and they're overlooked. And so at that time, we didn't have a whole lot of families who were fostering children in our area, and yet Highlands being a larger church, I felt like, hey, here's an idea that maybe Brenda and I can lead the way. And so we started getting foster care training, and we were able to foster to adopt Chris. And today we have lots and lots of families all around Highlands that have been through the foster journey, and many of them have moved to adoption. And I felt like that was, looking back, I felt like that was one of the neatest things we were able to do, is to help children write a better story. And I'm very grateful for that. Here's the thing that sticks out to me. There was a Sunday that I'll never forget. I'd been here maybe 3 or 4 months, and I'm down on one end of the mall at our Avenue location, and there's a guy comes in his work clothes, and he's got his work boots on. I mean, they're covered in mud, and he's bringing three little girls in, and it looks like they've just had a challenging time to get to church. And you could just tell this was a family who were just, they were just trying to get by day after day, and yet they felt right at home at Highlands. And then I go on the other end, and there's a gentleman and his wife who come in on that side, and they are dressed fit to kill. I mean, they've got a suit and tie and an elaborate dress and fancy shoes, and you could just tell these are people of affluence, but yet they feel right at home at Highlands. And that struck me, that here's a church that's multi-generational, multicultural, multi-economic, and all these people are able, because of the foundation of the gospel of the good news of Jesus Christ, to find a home at Highlands. I think that's truly the reason we can all call Highlands home.
When I think about stepping into leadership here in a church that has a legacy of faith, sacrifice, and mission, and what does that look like as we move forward into the future, I can't help but think about all the wonderful people who have come before me. We've heard from Pastor Jimmy, we've heard from Pastor Allen, and these are wonderful men of God who I'm so grateful to for the hard work, the dedication, the blood, the sweat, the tears that they've poured into this church, and to see that what God has called them to do is fulfilled in this area. And so I'm so thankful to them. I'm honored to follow them in ministry, and I do really feel like I'm standing on their shoulders and they are propping me up to do the work that He's called us to do. I know both of them love Highlands Fellowship so much, and they've poured their lives into it. And I'm thankful for their heart, I'm thankful for their hard work, their dedication, and for so many other things, their continued guidance, their mentorship. But I am thankful for what they do, what they have done, and I want to see it continued on, and I want to be faithful to the mission and the vision that God has called us to as a church. I would say what excites me the most about where God is leading our church right now is, with a lot of momentum, God is leading our church to make disciples, love our communities, and change the world. And we get to do that in so many different ways, but one of the ways that I think is so exciting to me is the way that He's doing that in the next generation. To see our students and our kids growing up, understanding God's Word, learning about who He is and what He's done for them to really, truly understand who Jesus is. It really, really excites me to see the life change that's taking place. We get to see people who are saved and baptized. We get to see people all around the world be equipped, and we're going to change the world. And I believe that with our partnerships that we have all across the globe, places like South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, the Ivory Coast, Pakistan, the Ukraine, all of these places are places that God is doing amazing work, and He's allowed us to be part of those things. And so when we think about change in the world, it's not just here in Southwest Virginia, but it's all over the globe. We also have a wonderful partnership in Cairo with our 4G3 partners for the global glory of God. And these are people who are going into the most unreached places, war-torn places, places where there's massive persecution, and they're sharing the gospel. They're raising up disciples of Jesus Christ, and they're training them and teaching them how to then raise up other disciples. And so they're doing discipleship institutes. And we get to be part of that work, and it is extremely fulfilling, and it's amazing, and it's significant work. The theme verse that's been throughout the whole course of this anniversary celebration as we celebrate 30 years, it's Ephesians chapter 3, verses 20 and 21, where it talks about God doing immeasurably more. And when I think about doing immeasurably more, God has already proven that to us over the first 30 years here at Highlands Fellowship. I mean, He's done incredible things, more than we could possibly dream or imagine. And I believe that God is faithful. I believe that He will continue to do these things above what we could even imagine. But we have to remain faithful to the calling that He's put on our lives and for us as a church. Like, our mission is to help people experience life with Jesus as we make disciples, love our communities, and change the world. And I believe that as we stay faithful to the calling, we stay focused, doing only those things that we can do, I believe that God will be generous with us as we move forward, and we will see Him do immeasurably more as we continue to seek Him with all of our lives. God is a good God. I'm so thankful for what He does in our lives. He has been so good to us, and I can't wait to see what the next 30 years has to offer.